The world has seen its share of long volcanic disasters. Eyjafjallajökull grounding flights for days, Kilauea churning lava for decades. But that is nothing compared to the most extreme eruption ever, a 2 million year event that helped trigger the Great Dying. And you're about to live through it, one slow, invisible step at a time. You're wandering around the Earth 252 million years ago, right at the Permian-Triassic boundary. It's a pretty great time to be alive, the Ice Age is long over, and the planet is overall a comfortable place to live temperature-wise. This is the Age of Pangaea, one massive supercontinent stretching nearly from pole to pole. Its vast interior is dry, with huge seasonal swings between wet and arid conditions. Conifer-like forests dominate much of the land, while swampy lowlands hug coastlines and river systems. The planet is already warm by modern standards and slowly trending warmer, but life has adapted, for now. But nothing good lasts forever. As you walk through what will one day become Siberia, you'll notice something is wrong. The ground feels alive. Fissures crack open all around you. You stop walking, but the ground doesn't stop moving. Then the rumbling starts. Your feet grow hot. You peer into one of the cracks and you spot something far below, something orange. A second later, it is rushing straight up at you. You start to run. Magma blasts through the fissures, turning to lava as it hits the air and flooding the land around you. But there is nowhere to go. Even as you run, the ground keeps splitting ahead of you. And if you could see far enough, you would realize this isn't local. It's happening across millions of square miles. Congratulations, you are the envy of every future geologist. You have just witnessed a flood basalt eruption, a scientific term most of the species about to die won't live long enough to care about. If you're imagining something like Yellowstone, think again. As geochronologist Seth Burgess puts it, the sheer scale of the Siberian traps makes Yellowstone look like the head of a pin. This was a whole lot worse than the supervolcano we currently fear the most. Basically, a hot plume from deep within the Earth's mantle started rising toward the crust beneath Pangaea. It broke through the Siberian Craton, the ancient core of the continent. At the same time, the continent itself was changing. The Permian-Triassic was a period of intense rifting, with Siberia being stretched as parts of the land slowly began to pull apart. That stretching thinned the crust, and thin crust is perfect for cracks and fissures. So when the plume started to burn its way through the crust, it didn't have far to go, and the magma didn't erupt just from one place. It burst out everywhere at once. As you flee the torrents of lava, breathing becomes harder. The air feels wrong. No matter how hard you gasp, you can't get enough oxygen. Above you, the clear sky is gone, replaced by a toxic haze of gas. Along with the magma, the flood basalt eruption pumped 100,000 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. And that wasn't the end of it. Models suggest that just 1 year of Siberian traps activity could release 1.46 billion tons of sulfur dioxide. It wouldn't happen at that rate every year, but over time it still meant a massive buildup of greenhouse and toxic gases in the air. Geologists believe that the Siberian traps event could have released a total of 1,200 billion tons of methane and 4,000 billion tons of sulfur dioxide into the air. To make matters worse, as the lava spread out over the sedimentary carbon-rich ground, it broke it down even further. And as the lava continued to flow outward, it created weaker and weaker ground. This allowed more cracks to form and even more lava to flow out. Nearly 2/3 of all the lava erupted within the first 300,000 years, burying a landmass roughly the size of the United States under flows up to a kilometer deep. And this is still nowhere near the end of the story, because something drastic happened. Not all at once and not in one place. Most life on Earth wouldn't even understand what was happening until it was too late. University of California, Berkeley's Cindy Louie, a paleobotanist, points out, if you just wait a while, you get an extinction. But if you were standing in that landscape yourself while the extinction was happening, you might not see anything. More than 90% of Earth's species disappeared over hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of years. No organism could witness that kind of loss in a single lifetime. Instead, it would feel like small things going wrong. One species vanishing here, another there, against a vast background of life that seemed endless. Time passes hundreds of thousands of years. The warmth builds, and then it becomes unbearable. The air grows thick. The lava hasn't just reshaped the land, it's been burning through a continent-scale deposit of carbon-rich rock, releasing huge amounts of carbon into the atmosphere. The lava's also been depositing nickel, and while a tiny bit of nickel is good for most organisms, a lot of it is devastating, because some of the only living things that absolutely love nickel are methanogens. What is that? Tiny, single-celled organisms that feast on nickel and produce methane gas. So the lava is accelerating two different processes that are releasing carbon dioxide and methane into the Earth's atmosphere. You quickly realize that something is very wrong, so you rush to the water's edge, step in, and immediately get burned. So now the planet is heating itself from two directions at once. Average surface water temperatures at this point reach 104 degrees Fahrenheit. For comparison, the current ocean temperature at the equator hovers around 79 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And it's not just the heat. The water feels strange on your skin. It's like it's reacting with you, burning in a way that shouldn't happen. And that's because all that carbon the lava was releasing from the ground wasn't just going into the atmosphere, it was going into the water as well. That made the ocean more and more acidic until it was just too much for most life to handle. Any organism that relies on a shell or a skeleton is suddenly in trouble. In an acidic ocean, those structures can't form. Shells and skeletons are built from calcium carbonate, and acidic water shuts that process down almost completely. All around you are dead animals. Trilobites, snails, clams, brachiopods, and all other sorts of marine animals have been washed onto the beach by the ocean. Many of them are already rotting. Below the surface, heaps of marine life sit half-decayed. In the Great Dying, also known as the Permian Extinction, around 90 to 96% of marine life was killed off. Reefs were destroyed, and the seas were nearly emptied of living organisms. Carbon dioxide and methane flooding the atmosphere drove global temperatures sharply upward, turning the oceans into something closer to a hot tub. In under a million years, Permian ocean temperatures jumped from 70 degrees Fahrenheit to 97 degrees Fahrenheit and then spiked to 104 degrees Fahrenheit at the height of the extinction. Many scientists think that most marine invertebrates couldn't survive above 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit. By that point, they weren't adapting, they were being cooked. To make matters even worse, the eruption caused something called ocean anoxia. Essentially, the now incredibly hot waters couldn't hold as much dissolved oxygen. Warm water molecules move too fast. Also, warmer water tends to mix less with the water below it, meaning what little oxygen there wasn't making it down to the deep sea. This caused oxygen levels in the water to crash. Bad news for anything that needs it to survive. On the eve of the Great Dying, you make your way inland, and as you keep running, the landscape is completely bare around you. You stop to look for animals, trees, or plants, any sign of life, but there's very little. Well, except for the occasional Lystrosaurus, one of the only species to make it out of the Permian extinction alive, shuffling through the landscape. It's a strange animal, part mammal, part reptile, with a beak and tusks ranging in size from a large dog to a pig. And for a moment, it's comforting to see anything still alive. But most of the creatures you knew are failing. Some still linger, visibly sick and weak. The synapsids, the largest land animals on Earth resembling massive mammal-like lizards, are about to be hit especially hard. The usual buzz of insects is gone. Even the Meganeuropsis, the massive dragonfly-like insect, is nowhere to be found. You can't miss it, its wingspan could reach up to 2.5 feet. But you can't find a single one. They're already extinct. Worse yet, 70 to 75% of all of these animal species on land will soon be dead. You desperately look around for even one tree just to sit in the shade and get a break from the sun, but there's none. Rising temperatures triggered widespread droughts, drying out the planet and making wildfires routine. For hundreds of thousands of years, fires swept across the globe, wiping out entire forests. With fewer trees left, Earth lost one of its main carbon sinks, allowing even more carbon dioxide to build up in the atmosphere. So while lava and greenhouse gases were engulfing the world, every day they were burning up the only organisms that could do anything about them. The fires also burned out a lot of ecosystems that land animals called home at the time. Not to mention, all this buildup of toxic gases created yet another cause of death for trees and plants, a breach in the weakened ozone layer. Scientists can't say exactly how it happened, but research shows a major disruption in the ozone layer. As Dr. Benjamin Black from the Department of Earth and Planetary Studies at Rutgers University puts it, global ozone levels likely fell below those seen in the Antarctic ozone hole of the 1990s. That loss stripped away protection that plants had relied on for millions of years, leaving them exposed to intense ultraviolet radiation. Animals weren't spared either, but we'll get to that. While the UV rays didn't do much to the plants themselves, it severely affected their ability to reproduce. You give up looking for trees and you wonder what happened to the plants that used to cover the earth. All you can see now is a strange, dull-looking kind of plant, or at least you think it's a plant. It turns out to be a wood-decaying fungus because all that dead wood had to go somewhere. And where it went was in some fungi's mouth, metaphorically speaking. These fungi had a field day since their favorite food is dead wood. They multiplied quickly all over the landscape as their food source was now literally everywhere. With no shade left, you start to wonder why the sunlight feels so harsh today. It's not just the heat. You look down at your arms and you are burned everywhere. How did that happen so fast? The weakened ozone layer didn't just create problems for plants, it created major problems for animals as well. The skins of most land mammals weren't made to handle the intense UV radiation coming through the Earth's atmosphere at this point. Even those that could temporarily deal with the burning of their outer layer developed other problems later in life, namely cancer. That's right, Permian land vertebrates aren't so different from us today after all. And now you have one more pressing problem to consider: what are you going to eat? Normally you'd get some plants from the ground or some small animals, but those don't seem to be around anymore. And the ones that are, they don't look like they're in any condition to be safely eaten. When plant life disappeared during the Permian extinction, it wasn't just horrible for the plants, it disrupted the whole food cycle. Without plants, what would small herbivores eat? And without small herbivores, what would large carnivores eat? Truth be told, both small herbivores and large carnivores were dealing with their own problems as well. It's important to remember that throughout the Permian period, the Earth was already a little warm. Add in a volcano that won't stop spewing lava for 2 million years and you are basically setting a place on fire. The combination of millions, probably billions of tons of carbon dioxide in the Earth and a non-stop sauna on the land made the planet very literally unlivable. So how hot was it exactly during this 2 million year long volcanic eruption? The closest we can come to understanding the effect of an eruption like that in our current history is by observing the effect of the 1783 Laki eruption in Iceland. When that volcano first erupted, average temperatures in the northern hemisphere actually dropped by 1.8 degrees Fahrenheit. That doesn't sound so bad, right? Except the Laki eruption only put out 3 cubic miles of lava into the world. The Siberian Traps flood basalt eruption? Between 240,000 and 700,000 cubic miles of lava. That is almost twice the volume of the Gulf of America, formerly the Gulf of Mexico. Imagine what that does to a climate. Because the planet was already warm, temperatures during the Permian extinction climbed into truly extreme territory. In the tropics, heat routinely pushed past 100 degrees Fahrenheit. For comparison, most tropical regions, hot and humid as they are, average around 70 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Back then, the land itself was barely survivable. The change in temperature was extreme and it happened too fast. Species had no time to adapt to it, and whatever can't adapt usually dies. You start to think that you might not last long on this oxygen-poor, barren oven of a planet, but you might be getting a break soon. You see a plant, and is that rain? For a moment it feels like a miracle. The drops begin to fall. You tilt your head back hoping for cool relief, but the rain is warm, and it makes your skin itch and then burn. Red patches appear almost instantly. Acid rain. With a pH as potentially low as 2, the same as lemon juice or vinegar, thanks to the high amount of toxic gases swirling around the atmosphere, rain is more likely to end life rather than help it grow. You look down at the lone plant you found and you watch the rain soak into the ground around it. No wonder it's all weak and brown. The rain is stripping the soil of its nutrients. Nothing can grow like this. And it doesn't. That's why the great dying is happening. As the thought settles in, another problem hits you. Breathing isn't just hard anymore, it's becoming impossible. Your head pounds. Something is very, very wrong. The carbon dioxide caused something called hypercapnia in most life on land. Basically, they ended up with too much carbon dioxide in their blood. In humans, this condition starts with headaches and shortness of breath. Then the confusion sets in. You're looking for somewhere to rest when you realize you've passed the same rock 4 times already. Where were you going? With hypercapnia, the confusion gives way to paranoia, followed by seizures, loss of consciousness, coma, respiratory failure, and then death. During the extinction, the atmosphere itself was strangling land animals from the inside out. As you lie on the acidic soil staring up at a hazy sky, one thought drifts through your mind as everything fades. Please let it be cold. The remains of this endless volcanic eruption are still around today. The Siberian Traps still bear the remains of this jaw-dropping natural disaster. To this day, it's covered in about 3 million square miles of basaltic rock. Even after the Permian extinction, the Siberian Traps continued to leak lava into the world. That initial eruption kept going at a good volume for 500,000 more years. Scientists believe the smaller floods kept happening for over 1 million years after that, putting the full timeline of the volcanic eruption at around 2 million years. Millions of generations of animals lived and died during a non-stop volcanic eruption. Well, mostly died anyway. So could it happen again? In theory, yes. Massive flood basalt eruptions, known as large igneous provinces, are rare, but they are part of Earth's deep geological cycle. When they occur, they unfold over hundreds of thousands to millions of years, but not human lifetimes. Scientists see no signs of an event on the scale of the Siberian traps beginning anytime soon. If something like it does happen again, it would be on timescales far beyond recorded history, slow and immense, and devastating in ways life would struggle to escape. Now go check out This Supervolcano Has Scientists Freaking Out, or click on this video instead.